In the end, what is Spiritism? It is not what you think. When people talk about Spiritism, many immediately imagine seances, tables moving on their own, communication with the dead, or mystical practices shrouded in mystery. This view, although understandable due to popular portrayals in the media and in the collective imagination, is far from the reality of what the Spiritist doctrine truly is. Spiritism is far deeper, more rational, and more transformative than these superficial images suggest. To truly understand what Spiritism is, we must return to the 19th century, more precisely to the year 1857, when Hippolyte Léon Denisard Reville, who adopted the pseudonym Allan Kardec, published the Spirits book in Paris. Allan Kardec was not a mystic or a visionary in the traditional sense. He was a respected educator, an experienced pedagogue, and a meticulous researcher, known for his rationality and scientific method. Kardec did not invent Spiritism. In fact, he was invited to investigate strange phenomena occurring in different parts of the world. Tables moving, objects shifting without apparent cause, and intelligent communications that seem to come from invisible entities. As a man of science, Kardec approached these phenomena with healthy skepticism and methodological rigor. For years, he observed, questioned, compared the answers obtained in different places and from various mediums, always applying the filter of reason and logic. The outcome of this careful research was a doctrine that he did not create, but rather codified. He systematically organized the teachings, which, according to him, came from the spirits themselves. Spiritism distinguishes itself from other currents of thought by its threefold nature: science, philosophy, and religion. It is not merely a religion, nor solely a philosophy, nor exclusively a science. It is simultaneously all three, and this is one of its most remarkable features. As a science, Spiritism studies phenomena of a moral and physical order produced by the intervention of spirits. It is not an exact science in the mathematical sense, but rather a science of observation that seeks to understand natural laws hitherto unknown. Mediumistic phenomena, reincarnation, and the possibility of communication between the two planes of life are studied with seriousness, without fanaticism, yet also without systematic denial. As a philosophy, Spiritism offers rational answers to the great questions that have long troubled humanity. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Why are we here? What is the meaning of life? Why does suffering exist? Spiritist philosophy is not founded on human speculation, but on revelations obtained through communication with higher spirits, always filtered through reason. As a religion, Spiritism has no dogmas, compulsory rituals, organized priesthood, or grand temples. Its religiosity lies in the proposal to reconnect human beings with God and with their fellow creatures through the practice of goodness, love, and charity. It is a natural religion, one that awakens noble feelings and guides individuals towards the practice of evangelical morality. The first great pillar of Spiritism is the affirmation that the soul survives the death of the physical body. But this is not a blind belief, it is a conclusion based on evidence obtained through mediumistic communication. According to the doctrine, we are eternal spirits who use the physical body as a temporary garment during our passage on earth. This fundamental truth completely changes our perspective on life. Death ceases to be seen as an absolute end and becomes instead a simple transformation, a change of state. Like a butterfly leaving its cocoon, the spirit frees itself from the limitations of the flesh and continues its evolutionary journey in the spiritual realm. Perhaps no other concept in Spiritism is as revolutionary as reincarnation. This is not the transmigration of souls into animal bodies, as in some Eastern traditions, but rather the return of the human spirit to new human bodies, as many times as necessary for its perfection. Reincarnation explains the seemingly unjust inequalities we observe in life. Why are some born rich and others poor? Why are some healthy while others are ill? Why do certain individuals show early talents while others face difficulties in everything? According to Spiritism, these differences are not the product of chance nor of divine injustice, but the consequences of our past actions and of the choices made by the spirit itself before reincarnating. Each life is an opportunity for progress, for the reparation of past mistakes, and for the development of moral qualities. Closely linked to reincarnation is the law of cause and effect, also known as the law of action and reaction. To each according to their deeds is not merely a moral precept, but a natural law that governs the moral universe. Every action generates a consequence. All good accomplished returns in blessings, all wrong committed demands its price. This law is not punitive in the sense of divine vengeance, but educational. The suffering we sometimes experience is not an arbitrary punishment, but a natural consequence of our actions, intended to teach us and help us improve. Likewise, happiness and well-being are the fruits of our efforts towards goodness. Spiritism affirms that spirits can communicate with the incarnate, mainly through individuals endowed with mediumistic faculties. This communication is not the privilege of a chosen few, but a natural law accessible to all who devote themselves to serious study and moral development. Mediumship is not regarded as a supernatural gift, but as a natural human faculty, like intelligence or artistic sensitivity. Some possess it in a more developed form, others less so, but all can, to a greater or lesser extent, perceive the influence of the spiritual world. Contrary to the mystical image many hold, Spiritism has always shown itself open to dialogue with science. From the outset, Allan Kardec established that the doctrine should evolve and adapt to new scientific knowledge. If science proves us wrong on any point, we will change, he essentially said. This rational, open attitude distinguishes Spiritism from religious dogmatisms. There are no immutable truths apart from the fundamental moral principles. Everything can and must be questioned, studied, and analyzed in the light of reason. Kardec's very methodology was scientific. He compared communications obtained in different places from different mediums, verified the concordance of the information, applied the control of reason, and accepted as valid only that which withstood this rigorous examination. Spiritist morality can be summarized in the evangelical maxim, "Love one another." But this is not an abstract or merely sentimental love. It is an active love expressed in charity, solidarity, forgiveness, tolerance, and everyday kindness. Spiritism teaches that our happiness is intimately linked to that of others. We cannot be truly happy while our neighbor suffers. This understanding naturally leads to the practice of charity, not only material, but above all moral and spiritual. Spiritism is of the devil. This is perhaps the most common and unfounded prejudice against Spiritism. The Spiritist doctrine teaches love, charity, forgiveness, and fraternity, values universally recognized as noble and elevated. How could a doctrine that produces such good fruits have an evil origin? Spiritism does not deny the existence of imperfect and obsessive spirits, but it teaches that they should be treated with charity and guidance, never with fear or hatred. The best protection against negative influences is moral improvement itself. Although Spiritism values study and knowledge, its essence lies in the simplicity of love and charity. The simplest person who practices goodness is closer to Spiritist ideals than a proud and selfish scholar. The Spiritist Center is not a temple in the traditional sense, but a place of study, prayer, and the practice of charity. There, meetings are held for the study of the doctrine, serious and responsible mediumistic sessions, fraternal support for those in difficulty, and various charitable activities. The organization of Spiritist centers is democratic and fraternal. There is no clerical hierarchy, no priests, and no absolute authority. Everything functions on the basis of voluntary cooperation and selfless work. Serious Spiritist meetings are orderly gatherings, conducted with dignity and respect, where the aim is to offer help to suffering spirits. The primary purpose is not curiosity nor phenomena for their own sake, but the moral growth of the participants and assistance to those in need on both planes of life. In an age marked by extreme materialism, violence, social inequalities, and a crisis of values, Spiritism offers answers and solutions founded on universal fraternity and the understanding that we are all brothers and sisters in evolution. The Spiritist doctrine is not a religious escape, but a conscious commitment to the building of a better world. It teaches that we must not passively wait for happiness in heaven, but actively work to create conditions of well-being and progress here on earth. By its rational and tolerant nature, Spiritism fosters respectful dialogue with other religions and currents of thought. It recognizes that truth is not the exclusive property of any one group, but the heritage of all humanity. This attitude encourages harmonious coexistence among people of different beliefs, contributing to social peace and mutual understanding. The ultimate aim of Spiritism is not to convince anyone of the existence of spirits or mediumistic phenomena, but to promote the moral transformation of the human being. A person may accept all the theoretical principles of the doctrine, but if they do not become kinder, more tolerant, and more charitable, they have not truly understood Spiritism. On the other hand, someone who has never even heard of the doctrine, but practices love for others, charity, and kindness, is living Spiritist ideals without even knowing it. Spiritism proposes a gradual process of inner transformation called inner reform. This is not a sudden or miraculous change, but a constant work of self-awareness, self-control, and self-improvement. This process involves recognizing our faults and limitations, making a sincere effort to overcome them, cultivating virtues and noble qualities, and the continuous practice of goodness. It is a task that lasts an entire lifetime and many lives when we consider reincarnation. One of Spiritism's greatest contributions to humanity is the rational hope it offers. Faced with injustices, suffering, and the apparent absurdities of life, the Spiritist doctrine shows that everything has meaning, everything has a purpose, everything contributes to our spiritual growth. Death is not the end, but a transformation. Suffering is not an arbitrary punishment, but an opportunity for growth. Inequalities are not divine injustices, but consequences of our own past and opportunities for future progress. This understanding does not lead to conformism, but to conscious work for the improvement of living conditions, knowing that every effort towards goodness contributes to our evolution and to the progress of all humanity. It is a doctrine that answers the great questions of existence without denying logic, that offers comfort without feeding illusions, and that proposes moral growth without imposing rigid dogmas. More than a religion or a philosophy, Spiritism is a new way of seeing and living life, based on fraternity, personal responsibility, constant evolution, and love as the true force that moves the universe. To understand Spiritism is to discover that we are immortal spirits on an evolutionary journey, that our choices leave traces beyond this life, and the highest meaning of existence lies in moral improvement and in the happiness born from the good we do for others. This is the true face of Spiritism, not a collection of mysterious phenomena, but an invitation to inner transformation, to the awakening of conscience, and to the attainment of peace that comes from within. The miracle is not outside us. It happens when our heart learns to love more, forgive more, and open itself to the light. And this is precisely the path we seek together here on this channel, to understand more, to evolve more, and to walk side by side on this journey of expanding consciousness. If this message has touched you in some way, leave a like, share this video with someone who may find inspiration in it, and subscribe to the channel to continue this journey. Because this journey does not end here. It is only the beginning, and I truly want you to be part of it with me.